Hello everyone, my name is Tongxin. I'm a Chinese expat who has been living in Mexico and China for more than 4 years. Today, in my first video, I would like to share some of my observations about the cultural differences between China and Mexico. So today, limited about the time and also because of my lack of experience of making videos. So today, I would like to just talk about like 4 of my observations about the cultural differences between China and Mexico. And be attention. So like the observations that I'm going to talk about are based on my personal experiences. So it may not comply with the reality. That is to say, what I think to be different might not be that different, or maybe can be a very common thing, like for all of the nations, or maybe just for China or just for Mexico. And also it's very important to note that we should not make any like stereotype about any group, even though sometimes they can like to some extent be true, but we should be careful about that. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the first one. So the first one, the first observation that I have got about the cultural differences between China and Mexico had to do with the importance of family. It is generally acknowledged that Asian and like not Spanish-speaking Latinos, like Mexicans, are family-oriented. So in other words, they give priority to their families, even though sometimes they have to sacrifice other things like maybe money and health. But there are some like differences. So today, like limited by my time, I just want to talk about one of the very differences that I have observed between China and Mexico. So from my own experiences and also my own observations, I think in comparison with Mexican group, the Chinese one put much more importance on the future of the family. So how is that? Let me give you one example. So like nowadays, with the advent of so many Chinese, it's very common to say people who come from China in order just to work in Spanish-speaking countries like Mexico or Peru or Colombia. Why? Because generally speaking, they can be better paid. So, and in addition to that, for them, especially the Chinese businessmen, they found lots of chances and opportunities for them to make money, to make profit to expand their business. So there are more and more Chinese who would like to come into South America. So here is my observations, and lots of the people who come to Mexico, Colombia, and just by themselves, they come to this place alone. So which means probably they have to leave their family behind in China. So it seems that the majority of the Chinese people don't have any problems with this separation of family, because they think that on the one hand they could provide financial support to their family back in China by working abroad. At the same time, they think that their family, for example, their wives or like the grandparents, could take good care of their grandson. So in conclusion, it's kind of win-win situation for both sides, like for the one who have moved to Mexico and also for the one who had been left behind or who stayed in China, because this is kind of guarantee of the financial stability and also the education of the child. And in comparison, so at least for my observations, it's not very common for Mexican people to accept the fact that in order to, or maybe not the fact, the idea that in order to make money, they should be separated. For example, I have talked to many of my Mexican friends about the idea of working abroad, and generally speaking, and they would like to accept the chance of working abroad if they were given a good payment. But if the price was to be separated from the family for more than like 2 or 4 years, generally speaking, they won't accept it. Why? Because they thought that what's the point of having a family, being separated. The point of having a family is to enjoy the present, the unity of the family, rather than just to make money. So in conclusion, so this is where I can see the cultural differences. We Chinese people will think about the future of the family. We think the financial stability is of great importance. If we do not have enough money, how could we guarantee that the future, especially our children, could have a bright future? So in comparison, like the Mexican people, they seem to have like a different idea. Idea that the unity of family is much more important than maybe the future or other stuff of the family. I'm not going to judge which side is right or bad. So I'm just saying like there are some difference. Like the very interesting part is like we both of this group think family are very important, but they give importance to different aspects in this aspect. Okay, so then I would like to talk about the second one. Also, it's my personal observation, so you should bear in mind every time I talk about my observations, you should remember that's just my personal ideas. It's not probably the truth, or even though it's just like my experience. Okay, the second thing that I would like to talk about has to do with the work. So as I mentioned before, with the advent of so many Chinese people, it's very common for Chinese experts like me like to work in abroad in Chinese companies. So in Chinese companies, the work culture is like that. You should like respect your boss, and the hierarchy in terms of workplace is very popular, very present. You can feel it everywhere. For example, you're supposed to use some maybe to show your respect like to your boss by saying for example, you should not call your boss with his name. You should call him with his title, like the boss, something like that. And every time if you want to ask for permission, you should want to leave or ask for a sick leave, you should ask your boss for her permission first. So generally speaking, the relationship between the boss and his employees is kind of hierarchy, and you can see like there's kind of inequality, not like between the two. And in terms of the Mexican culture, I mean, also it's kind of my personal observations, because to be honest, I haven't been working for any Mexican company, but it's just I'm talking about my observations as a Chinese employees who has Mexican colleagues. Okay, so is that the working culture seems to be less of hierarchy, so it's kind of equal between each other, between the boss and also between the leader and the employee. So they kind of like to work to discuss everything with the boss together equally. So maybe there is a kind of hierarchy between the CEO and the employees, but like between the very basic level and the middle level, I think there's not such a thing. Or maybe I'm wrong, so please correct me if I said something wrong. And the second thing I would like to talk about is education. So it's commonly recognized that Asians put lots of emphasis on education, especially the education of the children. So for example, the Asians are very proud of entering very prestigious universities like Harvard and others like Tsinghua University in China, for example. The children from the very beginning. So, for example, the idea of pride of having entering very prestigious academic results like Harvard is very crucial to us. So, in that case, it's like not very Tsinghua it's very common in China, for example, for us like to send our children to primary school from the very beginning in order to have a better results. The idea of is very having common for all Asians, especially Chinese results, parents is to sacrifice to us the childhood. So, in that case, is not very. It's very common guarantee for us like to send our children in terms of cramming school, career, in order to have a better result. Very common So it's very common to push their children to, especially Chinese, dedicated parents to sacrifice the childhood in order to make children money, right? In order to guarantee the idea of so-called like bright future, the idea of important career or things like that is very common. Through education, probably we can change to push their children to even be dedicated to professions like doctors, lawyers, in order to make good money, right? Something and the idea of it's not the idea it's not common for me to hear someone present itself like be proud of their education. Probably we can change our destiny, and also the school seem to me that like don't put lots of emphasis. But in Mexico, I mean, just like the public something different. For example, academic not achievement that it's not common for me to hear someone different. Like, be proud of their like Asian university schools, because in Asia is one thing, and also like the schools seem to me that they don't put lots of emphasis how successful it should maybe the just like of education on the academic achievement. And in addition to that, so which is like very the idea of using education as a, because in Asia a door to open more opportunities for us seems less present on lots of how successful it should be. I don't know, maybe it has to do with their education system or any and in addition to that, maybe it's like just my the idea of using education as a but they seem like to be a door to open more opportunities for us about the same academic present to lots of people than we Asians. I don't know, maybe it has to do with their education system or last one that I would like to talk about. I think it has to do with the imagination, maybe the concept of my theory, but so they seem to be it's kind of cliche for me, even for me, or for lots of us who have been living in South America for quite a long time. To talk about and the importance of last one that I would like to talk about. But I think people might have some stereotype or maybe the concept about that of time. So especially to those it's who kind of cliche South America for me, even for me, or for lots of us who have been living in such a South American conception for quite long by social media to talk about South American the importance of like Mexicans. So generally speaking, but I think people might have that is not stereotype or from my understanding about that topic. It really depends on especially to those who have like scenario, for example, South America, they can be very punctual. They tend to in the workplace have they such a preconception in terms of social media that daily scenario like to attend South America like a Mexican family reunion. Generally speaking, sometimes they can be late, or generally speaking, they are late for my experience. Family reunion. It really depends, and also it also depends on like scenario. There are someone they can be very punctual in the workplace. So really they ask them in comparison, but in terms of we think like Asians are very daily punctual scenario. But like also it very depends. Like example, take myself family reunion. Sometimes I can be late because, or generally speaking, they are late for of my family reunion. I will arrive a little bit late. And also it also I know depends that on the individual. Sometimes I think I who are punctual take manager of the whatnot situation that people are more tolerant of being think like Asians are very tolerant of being late. But also in the other in other countries, so sometimes I take advantage of that. Sometimes I can be late because to attend some invitation of my personal situation, I will arrive a little bit late. I know that sometimes I think I. But I know that would be situations that people are more tolerant of being. So today, tolerance of being late for your watching of my other in other countries. So sometimes I take advantage of that. Of my channel is to share my experience, attend some with your invitation. My friends, my Mexican friends arrive a little bit late. I make some excuses, but I know that would be forgive. So I would just take advantage of that. So today. Thanks for your watching of my first video on my channel. So the purpose of my channel is to share my experiences with your guide of my cultural cultural observations. And in addition to that, another important point is that I would like to